I'm sitting out here in our house on wheels right now. Soon to be house on wheels. We're getting ready to take this north this coming week, so we're all really excited, and hopefully none of us get sick like we did last time we were going to take it up. Once we've got it all done here, we will go ahead and video so you can see, what we're going to be living in while we build our remote off-grid cabin. But in the meantime, we wanted to share this current video with you. Today I wanted to talk about making money from your homestead. And it's not what you think. Usually when you hear making money from your homestead, it's, people connect it with raising animals or produce to sell. This is actually referring to making money on Etsy. Many of you know that we have an Etsy store, and that's how we make our income. It's our sole source of income and has been since approximately 2012. Now, I wanted to do this video for a while. I just haven't, but I'm spurred today to do it. I really think it can encourage people that are Etsy merchants, that maybe they have sluggish sales, or maybe they've considered Etsy and haven't, thought, now they're going to get lost in the multitude of merchants. And it's just like YouTube. There's some small tricks that can help your store be found by the potential customers that are out there. We started, like I said, in 2012. We actually had a couple of stores in 2011, but they didn't produce anything. They didn't even hardly produce enough to, to fill the gas tank each month. And we got kind of discouraged. But then we started to do a bunch of research, and we started finding little tricks that would help our store be found. So we opened a brand new store and applied those tricks, and by the grace of the good Lord, by 2013, it really was producing enough money to provide for our family. My husband is a licensed contractor, and during that time he did construction work. But the economy then and now wasn't good, and contractors in our area were having a hard time. We live in such a rural area that traveling was difficult too far, but it wasn't making enough. And we had always wanted him to be at home, and we prayed about it for years and years and years. And it all came together for us. And because of the blessing that we've had through Etsy, we like to share the knowledge that we have. We're no experts. We're not claiming to be. We're just saying that we have found through our research tricks that have helped us. And we share these tricks with anybody that wants them. I mean, we've had people contact us through our shop that sell the exact same item that we sell, wanting to know if we would be willing to share some information with them. And the answer is yes, because our theory is on Etsy that there's enough room for everybody. Just like on YouTube, you can have 50 Etsy stores or more that sell the same product, and there's enough customers out there that come to Etsy that there's enough room for everybody to be on there. Everybody has something that they are good at, that they can produce and sell, and somebody is out there to buy it. It's just making sure that your item is found and that the customers are attracted enough to your item to come to your shop to see it. It's like YouTube. You can have 500 of the same type of channels, and there's enough people out there that you sending someone to another channel isn't going to affect your views. It's just going to enhance what you're doing. So with that said, that's what we want to do in this video today. And I want you to know right up front, I am not pushing our Etsy store. Okay, there are going to be things, I'm going to put the link below, and we do talk about our Etsy store, but we're not pushing to sell our items. I'm putting the link below for viewers that are interested in Etsy to become a merchant, or that are currently a merchant, to see how our store is set up. You'll hear some things. I'm going to talk about titles and stuff, and so you can go to our store and see the different ways we create titles. And also, if I can, I'm going to end up putting some screenshots on here so you can see directly what I'm going to be talking about titles. Also, and please don't get me wrong, I mean, if somebody's out there and they're viewing this video and they're getting ready to put on a rustic wedding, that's what we deal with, is rustic event decorations. And please feel free to go to our shop and purchase from us, but please know that this is not what this video is about. We're not pushing our item. We're trying to encourage you, if you are a merchant with sluggish sales, or if you are thinking about it, that you can do this. Will these tips automatically make your shop successful? No, it won't. But it will give you a good footing to possibly become successful, or even make a small amount to help cover any bill, or maybe it's fun money you're after. but we hope that this is a useful video to you. Okay, I have a lot of things to cover, so I'm going to be referring to my notes a lot. When you do your shop, you need to remember that you are going to be found in categories with hundreds of other merchants. Let's say, for an example, that you produce, say you make aprons, and there's 100 other shops that make aprons. So you're going to be putting your listing in to possibly get pulled up by a potential customer, and something in your listing has to set you apart. Now, Etsy gives you a few things. It's not just Etsy. I mean, this is just internet stuff in general that are important, and a lot of people don't realize it. But your tags or / keywords, that when you create your listing for Etsy, I can't remember the exact number, it's like 11 or 13 keywords or tags that they give for you to put on your listing when you're creating it. And what those are is the apron. You would put in words that would be connected to somebody typing in to find aprons in a search engine. And so you would want to put like aprons. And maybe if it's a red apron, you'd put red apron. You'd want to put kitchen apparel. Things like that connected to. You never want to leave a tag unused. If you're having a hard time finding the right tags, here's what Etsy recommends you do. They recommend that you take your product that you're producing and you go and you look at other shops. Now, you're not copying, you're doing a general research on merchandising and what is your product's even going to fly. So you go to these other shops and you're looking for shops that are successful, being that when you type in your keywords that they're one of the first shops brought up. And what you're going to look at is you're going to look at their tags and you're going to look at their title. Now, you don't want to copy these things, the title, because this is this person's creation. But there's only so many ways to list red apron. So there's a fine line. Yeah, you don't want to copy their title, but you also have to be aware that there's only so many description words to describe certain products. But what you're looking for at this point is what makes a shop successful. Why are they pulled up first? Do they have a large number of sales? That's the other type of shop you want to look for, is shops with large sales numbers. And see what the titles, the keywords in the titles and in the tags are, because you want to be able to utilize tags that are appropriate for that listing. Now, the other thing, and I mentioned it, is titles. Titles are like the secondary, they're hand in there, it's almost like a neck and neck, but they're secondary when it comes to being found in a search. And you want to get your tag words into your title, which means that your title's not always going to sound correct. It's going to be kind of funky at times, and I will give you some, I'll put some screenshots up right here for you to see what I'm referring to. The more descriptive your title is, the more chances that it has in being pulled up in a search engine or in a search by a potential customer. A lot of people, people aren't just coming to Etsy and typing in the search. What happens is Google starts to crawl through, and they will find the appropriate titles that most fit people's search, and they'll put your item first if you've got the right keywords and stuff in there. And that's what, because people go to Google, they search, and then Google will send them to Etsy. It just goes hand in hand. There's research you've got to do. I'm just covering the basis, but I'm telling you what, if you spend some time in this stuff, it pays off. Your listing description is also important. And this is more where when you're looking at other people's items and you read their listing description, don't copy their listing description, but do get an idea of how much detail are they giving in the description of what they've written, or what they're selling. What is it, long, is it short? Just things like that. And that from there, with the descriptions, you absolutely can create your own content without taking their hard work. Whereas it's not so easy, when you're looking at titles and tags, you because again, there's only so many ways to describe certain items, but your descriptions should be your own personal description. But do spend some time reading other people's descriptions, see how detailed they are, because descriptions are important. The more detail you give, the less your customer has to wonder about specifics on the item. And a lot of people aren't going to waste time. If they've got 2 items to choose from, and let's just say, for an example, it's a cutting board, and one merchant list cutting board and they might give the type of wood and that's it, where another merchant not only gives the type of wood, but they give the measurements of the item, and they give, you know, some detail of where the item was, at the item sustainably produced, how do they produce the items, that, you know, made in your own home, is it USA made, do you source your items from the US, do you get your items from out of country, things like that. The more detail you give, the more chances for many that the customer will pick that over one that's less descriptive, just because it saves them legwork from having to contact a merchant and ask questions. Now, Etsy is changing constantly. They change their things all the time. And because of this, it's irritating at times, but it's good for the merchant because it makes you stay on top of things to make sure that you are up to date, that your items, you know, are the best written description and tags that they can possibly be to get pulled up front when the customer is doing the search. With that, as an example, used to be when you listed an item and you renewed that item, when you list an item is good for 4 months on Etsy. You pay 20 cents for the listing, and then that item stays on there listed until sold for up to 4 months. And so in that 4 month time, if you wanted to renew and pay another 20 cents, that would put your item up at the very front of all the items listed. Then as other items got listed after yours would be pushed down. That is no longer how Etsy works. Etsy works primarily off the tag words. Now we've since they've changed things, and renewing does not affect the status of where your listing is at. We've done some research and we've read that people say, you know, it's really a waste of money to renew. But in our experience, we have found it's not as profitable to renew like we used to, but occasionally if things haven't been ordered for a while, we do go ahead and pull those items back up and renew them. And somehow it brings traffic to our shop by doing that, even though our item isn't necessarily getting pulled up in the very front of all the other listings. You know, that we go back to the tag words and the titles to try to make sure that our items come up on the first and at the very least second page. If we're not finding our items on the first page or the second page, then we start looking at our tag words and titles again, and we start playing with them to see what we have to change in order to do that. Another thing is Etsy, like I had said in the beginning, Etsy used to be for handmade items only. And then a few years ago they opened it up to vintage items, which is really nice because a lot of people just, you know, instead of doing eBay, they like to do Etsy. There's two different traffic sources driven between Etsy and eBay. We sold on eBay just for a very brief time, but we found we were more successful on Etsy. As far as shopping, kind of do both. We like to buy secondhand items more than we like to go to the store. There are some items we have to go buy brand new, but for the most part we try to stay with used items, and this is a whole nother video. But anyway, so we've shopped both at eBay and Etsy. And like I said, Etsy opened up more than just handmaids. They opened up to vintage. They also opened up to supplies. So like if you have you know, supplies for parties, or you have supplies for crafters, or you have supplies for anything pretty much, you can go ahead and sell that on Etsy. Now, when you create your store, we've looked at stores, and we've seen some stores that we call them, this is our nickname for them, department stores. And what that means is the Etsy merchant sells an array of different things. And we found some that are department style stores that are successful. But to our research, we have found that most of the stores that are successful focus on a specialty type item. Now that doesn't mean that you only have one item, but what it means is you stay within a certain type of product. Like on our store, we sell wood products, natural wood products, rustic wood products. We sell place card holders for weddings, anniversaries. We do a lot of event coordinators. We do wood slices, and those, you know, for the same type of people looking for that, but also for campers. And I don't mean trailers, I mean camps for name tags. We sell coasters, wood coasters for weddings. We sell wooden whistles. We sell wood compasses. So we've got different items but they all have a connection. Now there is an exception on our shop. We sell these gem thumbtacks, and I'll put a picture right here. And those sell really well, and they're not wood. But what did start us on those is that we also sell wood thumbtacks. So that's kind of the area that we veered from. But so just a, it's just a on our thoughts that most shops that do really well stay within a certain merchandise. They don't become too department store-ish. Now, another important thing that a lot of people don't realize on Etsy is that you need to have a minimum of items to start your store. If you only have, 1, 2, 3, 10 items, you don't get a lot of traffic that way, so you don't get a lot of sales. Etsy recommends, or at least they used to, a minimum of 25 items. But when we talk to people, we recommend a minimum of 50 items. Now, does that mean you have to have 50 different items? It's helpful, but you don't have to do that. Let's say that you crochet hats. So with the hats, obviously, if you can crochet a hat, you can crochet a scarf. So you would have 2 items right there. And then maybe you could crochet the coffee cup cozies and mittens. So that gives you 4 items. Then if you offer those 4 items in 5 different colors each, you've got 20 items right there. So then you could take your colors and your inventory options, and you could offer them in different styles and easily work your way up to 40 items. But then you could even add, so now you're still only doing hats, scarves, mittens, and cup cozies, but with your colors and your different styles, you've got your potential to increase. And let's say you get to 40 items with that, then you could start doing them in sets. You could do, different color hats and mittens as a set and let your customer know they're saving a few dollars by buying it that way, or even offer free shipping with your sets. And then you get yourself up to 50. My point is, just as this is an example, is it's very easy to get yourself to 50 items. We've got, at times we have over 400 items on our store. Now you have to understand, we're selling lots of times in bulk. It's not unusual to have someone order 1,000 tree slices or 400 place card holders. And so we're getting volume just because we're selling picked specific items to sell in bulk. But we have so many items because we've taken those, and we may list tree slices 5 different ways. So I've got 5 different listings of the same item. And what that does is that pulls us up in different searches, because you only get so many tags and you only get so many characters for your titles. And once those are used up, even if you have, if you've got 20 tags that would describe this item and you know that it would help it sell, and you've got 3 different titles that are just perfect for this item, and those would, if you could add it to it would help it sell, then your other option is to copy that listing, change the title, change the tag words, pay the other 20 cents, and see if it brings sales to you. Now, the only thing is like I said, we deal in bulk, so it doesn't really hurt us to go and renew that item for 20 cents. So because we're charging, obviously we're getting a larger price than if you're selling a $5 or $10 item. So you need to be careful with renewing and relisting like that, just to make sure that it's going to be economical for you. If you've got let's say you sell wooden baby teethers, and you know that you're going to sell 100 of those in a year, then yeah, it's worth renewing, once a month, or it's worth having 4 or 5 different listings for that wood teether. Whereas if you've got one $5 item and you know you're not going to sell it, it's the only one, you're not going to have another one, then it's really not worth renewing until your renewal time is up, and it's certainly not worth copying and creating another listing with another title on it. Now, one of the last items, but it's not the least by far, is pictures. Your pictures are one of the most important things that you can do for your item. Your tags and your title drive the customer to your store. But if your pictures aren't good or don't show the customer exactly what they're purchasing right away, you're not going to make that sale. Those pictures is what creates that those pictures is what creates that sale for you. And so when you take a picture and you think, oh man, this is really good, take a better picture. And when you get that better picture, you take an even better picture, because they're that important. That is the item that's what the customer sees. It's like a catalog. And if they don't like what they see, even though your item may be beautiful and wonderful in person, if it doesn't express to the customer what that item is, they're not going to buy it, especially if they've got another store that has a better picture. And maybe that other store's item might not even be as good, but the customer doesn't know that. So when you're online merchants, it's worth taking time to create the best picture that you can possibly create. Those are really the important things to remember when creating a listing with Etsy or creating a store. There's a lot more to learn. It just takes a lot of research and time, and it's worth it. If this is what you want to create your income, then it's worth that time. If you want a part-time job, you still need to do some research to see what it is that drives. You can have just this. Again, you can have two stores, the exact same item. They're both, great. They would do, the same thing, but one store thrives and one doesn't. And it's just like YouTube. One video can be exactly the same as the other, and someone gets all the subscriptions and someone doesn't. There's just little tricks, I think, within these things to be brought up and to appeal to the potential customer or subscriber. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me a comment, and I will get to your comment or your question. Sometimes it takes me a while, especially with everything going on, but please know that I will definitely get back to you. Also, if you've not been to our Facebook page, we are going to be doing some giveaways. As soon as I figure out how to do the giveaway correctly on Facebook, where I can do it and just have the computer go through the subscribers. But we're going to be giving away some Countryside magazines in the next few weeks, and a Back to Basic book. We talked about that in another video. If you'd like to check out that video, we'll put the link up here. And our Facebook page, we just started it, but we are going to be keeping it up regularly here shortly, and this will hold, we'll try to do it daily with updates of our move and the building of the cabin and just settling into the forest. We're all really excited and want to share that, and hope that you find this interesting. So please, if you haven't been over to our Facebook page, please go over there and like it. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our channel and you like this video, please subscribe. We appreciate it. We appreciate everyone for viewing, and God bless.